Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about Chicago. This big city in Illinois in the United States of America has been struggling with crime and many killings that have been happening there almost every week. A lot of people have been getting injured and killed, especially on holiday weekends. Last time we talked about Chicago was Father's Day weekend a few weeks back, and there, many people suffer because of the extended length of time off from work and people just partying and going crazy. And it seems like that has happened yet again, probably worse because of 4th of July weekend. We just had 4th of July over this past weekend. This is America's birthday, a big holiday that most were discouraged from celebrating because liberals hate America and they want to pretend and make up excuses saying we can't celebrate because of this disease or something. But we know the truth. They don't like our country. But regardless, Chicago had some celebrations anyway, and it resulted in many getting shot and killed. And this is something that the left just doesn't want to talk about. They don't care about what's going on with black people, really. They pretend they do, and they act like there's all this racism and black people are getting taken down by the police every day. But the truth is, there's actually a lot of killings and a lot of infighting, specifically in this part of Chicago where they're killing themselves. These are the big problems. These are the real big deaths. I mean, over 13 people died in Chicago this past weekend, but BLM isn't talking about it at all. They're still talking about one or two police that accidentally killed some perps like a few weeks ago, and they're talking about ones that happened years ago. And I mean, nothing really gets through to them. They don't actually care about black people. They only care when it's convenient and when it can be used as a way to race bait and also as a way to fundraise and to direct people towards the Democratic Party. Now, for more details on this story, let's turn to this tweet, which first is from Brandon Pope. He says 67 shot, 13 fatally over 4th of July weekend so far. Now, this is actually an early report because we get an increase on this on the next page. This is published 2 days ago. It says 79 shot dead. I don't know if this is going to increase if I update it. No, it says 79 shot, 15 fatally over 4th of July weekend in Chicago. Terrible story. Awful numbers. This is a very scary thing. Like, this is the United States. We're supposed to be like the first world country. We're supposed to be safe and on top of things, but clearly we're not. Clearly there's some bad areas, and this is one of them. Obviously, Chicago is liberal run. They're a very left-wing city and state. The governor, the mayor, all these people are all Democrats. They can't control their cities. We've seen them failing at this time and time again. They've failed to control things like New York has a lot of crime problems now. So does Los Angeles. Other parts of, Seattle had that CHOP district. And this is, of course, relevant to what's going on. The Democrats are not only pushing this race baiting stuff, they have these race baiting stories in the news. Celebrities are supporting that, which is causing people to go out and riot in the streets, tear down places, rip down statues, smash buildings and stuff like that. But in addition, they're also saying that we should defund the police and basically give them less money, take away the cops in some instances, like Minneapolis, where one of those bad cases happened. They're trying to get rid of all their police and replace them with social workers or something. I don't know how that's going to work out, but it sounds dangerous to me. And it sounds like it's already failing because Chicago is a liberal place like this. New York City is having more problems with crime. Crime is up, and it's all in these liberal places that are pushing BLM fake narratives, and also they're pushing anti-police stuff. They're defunding the police when they obviously really need them. This story has more details. Let's read on. It says 15 people were killed and 64 others wounded in shootings across Chicago over the 4th of July weekend. President Trump reacted to shootings in two big cities in a tweet Sunday evening. Chicago and New York crime numbers are way up. 67 people shot in Chicago, 13 killed. Shootings up significantly in New York City, where people are demanding that New York Governor Cuomo and New York City Mayor act now. Federal government ready, willing, and able to help if asked. So this is a point to mention that the president and the federal government aren't really supposed to intervene unless they absolutely have to. They're supposed to be asked by the state. It's like states' rights. That's how it works in the United States of America. We're actually 50 separate states that have their own little mini governments. And then the federal government oversees them all. And they're not really supposed to step in unless there actually is, total chaos. If they lose their leadership or some other extreme situation, this might seem pretty extreme, but really this is what the city and the state are supposed to be handling themselves. And as we could see, these are Democrat run places. They can't handle it. They're terrible. They have bad policies, corruption. They're kowtowing to these BLM activists who are race baiting stuff. They're trying to remove the cops. It's a big mess. And the worst part is no one's talking about this. This story is from a local website and news, the Fox in Chicago. But besides them, I mean, besides local news, no one wants to talk about this story. 11 of the weekend's victims were minors, and 2 of the children died from their injuries. A 14-year-old boy was among 4 people killed in a shooting that wounded 4 others Saturday night in Inglewood on the south side. They were at a larger gathering on the street about 11:30 p.m. in the 6100 block of South Carpenter Street when 4 males walked up and started shooting, according to Chicago police. The 14-year-old boy was hit in the back and pronounced dead at Comer Children's Hospital. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the boy as Fernando Jones. He lived in West Lawn. Terribly tragic story. No one should be dying. These people shouldn't be out at night, especially in this kind of day and age, especially in this kind of city like Chicago. It's a really tragic story, and it sucks that they're so young. And, this Chicago area is just really, really bad right now. I would not wish this upon my worst enemies. But at the same time, these guys did vote in these Democratic policies. They're getting what they asked for in some ways. If they don't want to turn and question these kinds of situations, if they're not going to call out and hold people accountable for these murders and these kinds of crime waves, then yeah, it's not going to stop. It's not going to get any better if they keep doing what they're doing. 3 other male victims were pronounced dead, 2 at the scene and 1 at the University of Chicago Medical Center, police said. Their ages were not immediately known. An 11-year-old boy with a graze wound to the ankle and a 15-year-old boy with a gunshot wound to the abdomen were both taken to Comer in fair condition, police said. A 35-year-old man shot in the hip, leg, and arm and wrist was taken to St. Bernard Hospital and transferred to Stoger Hospital in critical condition, police said. A 29-year-old man shot in the foot was taken to St. Bernard in fair condition. Earlier that evening, a 7-year-old girl was killed at a 4th of July party in Austin on the west side. Jesus, this is just so messed up. Like, kids are dying. This is the kid that they mentioned, and they were talking about in the news, and the father came on and said, why don't our Black Lives Matter? This is what's really going on. These are the real tragedies in this community. Yeah, where's BLM? Why aren't they talking about it? Why aren't we trying to fix this problem? Why can't we, try and straighten out this community, get more help in there, get more people, teaching these people how to live right, raise their kids. Let's get more police presence. We need more cops, not less cops. This is crazy. The girl was playing on a sidewalk at about 7 p.m. on the 100 block of North Latrobe when 3 men got out of a white car and shot more than 20 rounds in the direction of the people holding the party, a group which included many children, police said. The girl, identified by family in the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office as Natalia Wallace, was struck in the forehead, and a 32-year-old man was injured. Tonight, a 7-year-old girl in Austin joined a list of teenagers and children whose hopes and dreams were ended by the barrel of a gun, Mayor Lori Lightfoot said in a statement on Twitter. We cannot grow numb to this. We are making progress in slowing shootings, but we have to do better, every single one of us. Yeah, I think you need to do a lot better, and I think this mayor should be way more concerned and talking about the right things. Like, I'm glad that they're bringing this up, but the BLM side of this story just can't be ignored. The latest fatal attack left a 39-year-old man dead. Sterling Pledge was found unresponsive at 2 a.m. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office hasn't released details. Next is on Sunday, a 26-year-old man was shot dead. Kenrick Campbell was shot at about 12:45 p.m. at North Kingsbury Street, authorities said. Campbell lived on the west side. He was rushed to the Masonic Medical Center where he died. Earlier that evening, a man was shot to death in Gresham on the south side. The 21-year-old was standing on the sidewalk at 2 a.m. At this location, police said he was pronounced dead at the scene. About an hour before that, a woman was killed and 5 men were injured when someone fired into a crowd that was setting off fireworks in Lawndale. So lots of sad stories, and this is the only way we're going to hear about them. Normally, I don't want to be this doom and gloom. I'm not trying to be super negative, but what are we doing? Like, what's going on in the world? Like, why is we have this BLM stuff and they focus on these 2 random deaths? They focus on Minneapolis and Atlanta. That's all they care about. That's all they talk about is that. And then they go back to like old arrests from 2014. They talk about like Mike Brown, and they talk about, all this stuff. Just old cases, like a handful of cases they always harp back to. Breonna Taylor is one. They always talk about all these names, these buzzword names, but these are just nothing compared to what happened. Like, we already have twice as many deaths here in Chicago in just one weekend. And this is just like a few days in this city. This city is struggling and they need help, and no one's going to do it unless they step up themselves. And I think the real solution is they need to get really woke. They need to vote out the Democrats. They need to call out BLM and get them out of here, get them into a new place, make them change their name or something, because they really don't think Black Lives Matter that much. Just so many more deaths. I could just read through them all day, but I mean, we don't have time. There's just this person was shot, this person was parked in a car, another shooting into a party, this person was shot in the leg. There's just shooting after shooting, and there's minors wounded, there's kids, 16-year-old boys shot, just tragedy after tragedy. And this is just, look at this. I'm rolling through and I'm just talking about one weekend in Chicago. Dozens of people injured, lots dead too, like a sad, sad amount, 15 dead already. I mean, I guess that's the final number, but it really shouldn't be that high. We shouldn't be like that in this kind of modern society. This kind of chaos is being almost encouraged even. Like if BLM and these liberals aren't going to address this, that's going to cause it to get worse. And that's why we're bringing it up here. We need to throw this into the face of BLM and liberals and all this stuff everywhere, because otherwise they're never going to hear it and we're never going to get the real story. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Hit that like button to get this story shared. And until next time, have a great day.